again here. Welcome to episode 5 of our wonderful podcast, Legacy of the Monolith.
Da, da, da. Hello, everyone. I'm Ram Nexus.
Ram Nexus, how are you today?
Very good. We haven't actually talked since we recorded the last episode.
That's right. We don't like each other that much, really. It's it's like sibling rivalry. It's a horrible, nasty disease. We need help. We need therapy. But
the advantage is when you hear us catching up, it's not scripted. It's genuine. Yes.
Apart from the rambling half hour beforehand while we're getting microphones and cameras set up, which is mostly my fault.
And you're making gross noises into the microphone.
I would never do that. I'm a professional.
I was thinking you'd be a great Foley artist.
That'd be my dream job. That or voiceover.
Yeah.
But if I only do Foley voice noises with my mouth, I could do it again. No, I won't do it again. I won't. We don't want to disturb the audience any more than they are. Thank you for joining us. First of all, I need to apologise, everyone, for the sound quality at my end during episode 4. That was my fault. I take full responsibility. I didn't check the correct microphone settings. So rather than getting the sound from this lovely Blue Yeti here, which is not actually blue, it's black, but it's still called a Blue Yeti. Maybe I need to choke it harder.
Still talking about the microphone.
I'm always talking about the microphone. It was using the audio from my camera. I've got a couple of things before we get stuck into things properly. A couple of things I want to talk about. I'm sure you might have. As we know, that I'm an Android user. Ram Nexus is on the dark side. He uses iPhones, and I've long been an advocate for Google and Apple devices and Android devices. And I've got my current phone is a trusty old Pixel 6. Hurrah!
What are they up to now? What's the latest Pixel?
The latest is 9. So mine's coming up on 4 years old, and I can't really justify replacing it.
Yeah,
it's generally good. It's got a good camera. I've still got lots of memory available, and still takes a charge. And it's just.
I was actually reading about the Pixel cameras recently, and from about the Pixel 5 or 6, they just didn't change it because it was just so good.
A lot of that's correct, and a lot of it is software as well. So their camera software and the image processing is generally pretty good, and so it has had a lot of updates over the years since I bought it. So so I've had 3.5 years. I think I bought it. Now I think about it. So and I think there's a part of me that wants to get the 9 Pro Max because it's a bigger screen and it actually has more cameras. It actually has a proper telephoto, which this has a telephoto, but it doesn't have a good widescreen one. So it's only got the 2 cameras on the back. But it's like.
I have an iPhone 15 Pro Max, and before that, I had an iPhone 10. So I had that phone for 5 years before.
For 5 years, okay, So there would have been a time I would have gone, my contract's up. I'm going to get a new phone. I've got to get a new phone. Probably because I was using Samsungs, and they were just by the end of 2 or 3 years, they were like ready to be replaced. Haven't had that issue with this. With Android, it's Android phone until the other day when I woke up one morning and I had read about this particular issue where basically if it does a particular update, you might have to restore to factory settings to get the phone working again, and that's exactly what I had to do. And it was a real.
What were the symptoms? It just didn't turn on, or
it basically would boot up. And it would just continually keep rebooting, and so basically it wasn't loading any apps or anything. You get to the boot screen, but it just continually rebooting, and so the solution was restore to factory settings. Fortunately, all my data is backed up to the cloud.
Good man.
Which is what I recommend to anyone. You hear stories of people saying, "Oh, my phone died. I lost all my photos," but isn't it in the cloud? I mean, whether it's Android or Apple, aren't you backing your photos up to the cloud? Why not?
Well, shouldn't it be? Yeah,
it should be
automatic almost
by default. If not, let me get in touch with me. I'll give you a hand for sure. So yeah, that was a disappointment. So but I sort of knew this was an issue and I was thinking, I've missed it. No, I hadn't. But yeah, since I restored the factory settings, and it's actually going to do another update tonight. So if it happens again, I will be chucking this out the door, and I'll go buy a Motorola or something like that. So, and the other thing that Google has let me down with is they did a firmware update to a whole bunch of older Chromecast devices, and I've got 2 of them in this house attached to various TVs in various rooms, and which basically they kind of semi-bricked. It's like you can't connect to them, you can't use them. So I can't log into it. I can't stream media to them, which is like really annoying. So I've got one plugged in to. So I've got a newer a Google TV Chromecast device, which is on the TV behind me, which is what I use to watch stuff on there. Yes, but it's got a second generation Google Chromecast plugged into that, and it died. And I was very grumpy the other day, but I was trying to stream something to it.
So is it because it's really old and it's not compatible with that?
Apparently, there was a certificate that expired on the 9th of March, a security certificate, and therefore they became untrusted devices. Yeah. So instead of updating the certificate, the firmware just bricked the unit. So this supposedly they're aware of it, and supposedly there will be an update coming. So Google, you let me down, my friends. I've not quite maybe turned to the dark side, but I'm thinking about it.
I might talk about it a bit more later, but I purchased some accessories for my iPhone 15 Pro, and they were a little hard to source because the 16 is the latest version. So my phone is just over a year old.
Oh my God, chuck it in the bin.
I know, but the 16 has slightly different dimensions. So no one's making any, well, not no one, but the accessories I wanted weren't being made anymore, and they're actually really hard to find. And the phone's just over a year old. So I'm heading overseas in about 2 or 3 weeks.
I'm heading overseas.
As you do.
This is why I hate him, people.
That's right. I've been using it as an opportunity to buy toys. And by toys, I mean accessories for my phone to make still photos, but also videos, because one of the places I'm going to is Boston, which is where Fallout 4 is set, and I make a lot of Fallout 4 video. So
yes,
although
you did mention this. That's not the finger. That's not the finger of admonition. That's the finger of pointing things out.
Yes, I remember.
Oh, you about to show me something?
Yes, I am. I'm just going to open it up. So the first thing I bought are a bunch of filters for my phone. Make sure I've got it on correctly. I'm going to embarrass myself. Okay, filters.
Okay.
So this one here is a polarizing filter to get rid of all the excessive shiny bits, and a 1/8 diffusion filter just to very slightly get rid of the really sharp edges that the iPhones are known to generate in video. Well, I had to buy the case. This was the case that was hard to get my hands on.
Right.
And I bought a filter, which is a variable neutral density filter, which is, as everyone on YouTube says, sunglasses for your phone. But I know that you're a photography person, so what you can do is set your frame rate to 24 frames a second, set the shutter speed, lock it at double that, 48 frames a second. But it's hard to do outside when it's sunny, when it's bright. So you use these filters to make sure you don't get a blown out image. And the advantage of that is the images tend to look a bit less like it's high frame rate soap opera or cinema. It's got a bit motion blur in them.
Bit more cinematic. Yeah,
a bit more cinematic. Exactly the word that they use. The two of the cool things that I bought. I also bought a remote microphone. This is the last cool thing that I bought.
A gimbal. Yes. There you go.
And you put your phone in there. So this is an Insta360 Flow 2 Pro, and I'm really not doing it any services, but there are so many videos about this very capable system. It's very smart, and it directly connects to your phone. And if you have an iPhone like I do, it doesn't just work with the Insta360 app, it works with a whole bunch of other apps as well. And it even has a feature called Hoop, which is an advanced feature, and I've only just got it. But as it happens, my daughter was playing basketball yesterday, so I put it and set it up, and you basically tell the system where the hoop for the basketball game
Okay.
is, if you're using half court.
Yep.
And every time someone shoots for goal, it'll record 8 seconds of footage. So it's able to keep track of and you can actually see, because it's a motorized gimbal, the lens is actually following the play. Technically, it's actually following the ball. It's pretty clever.
Yep.
I won't show any footage because they're all underage and didn't get explicit permission, but it works.
You'll have to get out and shoot some hoops yourself and show us all that.
I don't know if anyone actually would want to see that.
No, it's not about what people want; it's what people need.
They need to see it.
It's a demonstration of technology. It's a sacrifice that I'm prepared to make.
It's what was that line from The Simpsons? When Dana Scully's getting Homer on the treadmill.
Yeah, it's hypnotic.
It's so hypnotic. I can't look away. What I also did, it hasn't arrived yet, is bought a little clamp so I can hold the phone like this, and it has a little button so I can use it like a.
That would be cool.
Yeah,
I mean, you have that, and you have your round filter on the end. It looks like you're a real photographer.
It looks like it, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a saying that I've heard: all the gear and no idea.
Hey,
that'll be me on day one. Maybe not at the end of it, but we'll see.
Oh, look, like I said, I've got a DJI Osmo Pocket 3, and I used that for my last US trip, which is great, and it was really good. But I'm sure I'm not using anywhere near the capacity of it. I'm sure there's a lot of things. Do Apple still sell the iPhone 15 if you were to order one and get it for slightly cheaper? Because I know Google will do that, so they'll sell the 9, but you can also buy the 8.
They never sell the top of the line one from the previous year, but they do sell the lower end versions.
Okay. You also lost something that was precious to you, didn't you?
Oh, did you watch that video?
I did watch that video.
That is the quickest video I've ever made. I literally pick it. So the background is I was preparing to make, and still am, making a video comparing different fan-made mods for Skyrim. And to do that, I make all these save games. Long story short, I accidentally deleted all my save games, which was like 1.6 gigabytes worth of save games for Skyrim on Xbox.
Ouch.
So I made an impromptu video, which I didn't script, and I just did it. So it was very raw. Me in the raw.
It was very raw.
Yes.
You weren't even wearing a cap.
I know. That's true. Yeah, that's probably the first video I've not worn a cap at.
It's devastating.
It was mainly to say to others, be warned.
Let's talk briefly before we get started on the real nuts and bolts of the podcast. We're wearing hats tonight.
The important stuff.
I know exactly what your hat is.
Do you really?
Yes.
How do you know that?
Well, it's a McLaren Formula One hat.
Well done.
Because it's papaya in colour and number 81. Who's number 81? Is that Oscar Piastri, the Australian driver?
Yes.
Well, there you go.
I say that with huge confidence, not being absolutely sure, but yes. Full disclosure, this is my daughter's hat, and she visited the Grand Prix site as a STEM so-called STEM activities. I'm doing air quotes now.
She went there for science.
Science. But I got lots of photos of Max Verstappen.
Yep.
And, 4 times World Formula One leader, and a few other famous Formula One players. And I'm just like, you were doing any science? She did see a demonstration of all the cameras that are put on the different cars.
Oh.
And she said, and she actually asked a question, what makes you decide to put the cameras where you put them? And the answer was, we're basically told, we're given a little box of area that you can stick it in, and then we do it. And the person who answered the question, the engineer, stopped and said, that's an excellent question. And no one's actually asked that before, but that's perfect. So she got some good credit for that.
It's a cool hat. And tell her Uncle Stiggin says it's the coolest hat that's ever been on this podcast.
Probably is. It really, the colour is bloody excellent, I've got to say.
Although you had your son's hat on one,
That was the second coolest.
That was the second coolest.
I'm not doing too well with my own personal hat collection, no.
Well,
yes. My hat life is boosted vicariously by my children.
So I'm wearing a blue New York Knicks.
Is it Knicks?
Cap. Yeah. So I bought this. I've had this for quite a few years on a previous when I went to New York and I went to see the Knicks play at Madison Square Garden.
Oh, did
So
you?
that was a lot of fun. It was really good. I bought some merchandise. I bought this. I bought a hoodie because it was cold. It was like late November. So that's a hoodie I've worn to death. It's almost time to chuck it out, but it's it was very comfortable. Loved it.
Good experience going to Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, it was. It was very exciting. They know how to put on a show. I've got to say, very much. They had T-shirt cannons and everything. So
fantastic.
I didn't see anyone killed.
No,
thankfully. But
it'd be a bit of an embarrassing way to go.
I mean, well, that's how Maud Flanders died in The Simpsons. T-shirt cannon.
Yeah, as I say, it's a bit of an embarrassing way to go.
So I was reading about that recently. They the voice actor who was played Maud's, they had an argument with the producers of the show because she wasn't living in Los Angeles and she wanted to do it remotely. She said, "No, you got to come here. You got to be here to do it." She says, "Well, I don't want to do it. I want to do it remotely and money and so forth." And they said, "No, not going to do it." So they killed her off.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she has gone back to do flashback scenes of Maud and so forth and other characters. Yeah,
because a lot of the voice actors do multiple characters, don't they?
Absolutely, yes. Let's talk about what have we watched / read. What nerd media have we consumed lately? Remnexus?
I realise that this is a sci-fi based podcast, but full disclosure, I haven't actually watched a lot of science fiction since we last caught up.
Excellent. I'll go on to. I'll pick up.
So
that's fine. That's fine. Very good. No.
The most obvious thing that I watched was last night with the family, and that was The Electric State on Netflix.
I haven't got to watching that yet. Yep, I've watched our movie of the week last night, so I did not watch Electric State. So quick thoughts about Electric State?
Looks absolutely fantastic, and kind of believable. I'm not giving away anything to say that in the trailers they're talking about robot uprising and then robots being suppressed and so forth. And a lot of the visual image is, if it wasn't a robot, it would actually be quite distressing. Yeah, reminds me a little bit of the Animatrix, which was an animated series based on the Matrix from years ago. But some of the really large monsters are quite robots are quite imposing. It looks really good. So it looks great.
Yeah,
really clever. But the story is nothing great.
It has had a lot of critical disacclaim. That's probably the best way to put it.
I don't think it was bad,
but apparently it's very popular. A lot of people are watching it, so it's like from an eye candy perspective, it's probably not a bad movie.
I recommend watching it once at least. Don't watch it for the story; you watch it for the animation, which is just fantastic. Yeah, on science fiction, I did watch all of Star Trek Lower Decks now, all done.
Same. I have also completed Lower Decks.
That's pretty good. I liked it.
I think they wrapped it up nicely because they got to the point where they were all no longer lower deckers. They're all junior officers now. So, which is a natural thing. And people go, "Oh no, what are we going to do with it?" Well, I'm sure that we will see these characters again in one format. We may even see them in live action form again. That'd be fun.
Yes, there was that crossover with Strange New Worlds, which was very clever.
Which was a lot of fun. So that Lower Decks was great, really good. Good Star Trek. Like it also was serious Star Trek, but also satirized Star Trek.
Yes, with really, really sensible homage to and callbacks to previous episodes. But they didn't lay it on too thick. They didn't need to, really. It was very well done.
No, it was fabulous.
I just got onto an espionage kick. So I'll just give the titles. I watched the Diplomat, which is now at second season.
I have heard it's good.
Say again.
Hang on. I just adjust the camera because it's. Oh no, there's an earthquake. Actually, destabilization is probably doing.
I was sitting in this chair once, and there was actually an earthquake. This was about 5 years ago, and I was sitting there going, "There can't be a truck driving past because we live in a cul-de-sac."
Yeah.
What is that? And I thought, is that an earthquake? My son, who was like 7 at the time, said, "It's an earthquake. Everyone get out the house." And I remember thinking, That's actually a pretty good idea. So, yeah, my son is the one that got us moving.
That's kind of what an earthquake sounds like. It's having sort of heard one that lived was nearby where I live. It sounds like a truck and a large truck nearby rolling.
Just like a really big truck driving past the house and everything shakes. I was distracted. I just heard that. I thought that was a nice thing. So I watched The Diplomat. I watched The Agency, which is the Michael Fassbender CIA based in London, which is also very good, almost procedural thing. So and the other one, which was just fantastic, was The Day of the Jackal remake.
See, I haven't seen. I'm aware of these, but I have not watched any of them. So
The Day of the Jackal starts out, and one of the main characters almost seems like she knows a bit of everything. She's almost too good, but that isn't the case in the end. And I should remember his name, but the actor who plays the Jackal, because it's a series, they have more time to pursue it. And in the last few episodes, it gets to the point where his calm veneer is tested, and oh my God, the way that the actor expresses the fact that his brain is melting without words is just genius, absolutely genius. But
fantastic.
Watch all those, so I'll leave it there. Brother, what have you been watching?
I've been watching lots. Watched the movie Elevation with Anthony Mackie. So the premise being that basically there's an alien invasion or something like that, but they won't go above 8,000 feet.
Oh.
So anyone who's living like in the Rocky Mountains, like in Colorado, which is where the movie is set, if you're living above 8,000 feet, you're fine. And it's down to the inch, to the millimeter, perfect. Like, oh no, like 1 foot either side. No, you're fine. 8,000. It's not a rough thing. It's not a vague thing. It's
interesting premise. I like it.
But it is an interesting movie. Anthony Mackie, who we would know from the Marvel movies, and Marina Baccarin. It's worth a watch. It's definitely a fun movie. It's definitely an interesting movie, and there's a few little plot twisty stuff. Also watched The Gorge, which I think is on Apple.
I've seen the trailers. It's hard not to see the trailers if you use an Apple.
It is good. I got to say, Apple, they don't have a lot of content, but it tends to be quality, particularly if they produce it themselves. Featuring Anya Taylor-Joy, who seems to be very big actress at the moment, and because she's damn good. And Miles Teller is Levi. So one of the characters in it, and if you
I'm going to watch that very soon. Because that looks
won't go too much about it, but enjoyed it. I watched A Quiet Place Day One, which is kind of like the origins movie about A Quiet Place, where the aliens come. None of the characters from the original Quiet Place movies are in it. But it's
full disclosure, I've never watched any of the Quiet Place movies.
Okay, I recommend them, to be honest. The premise is good. The premise is sound. Yeah, basically, alien invasion of Earth. If you make any sound, they don't have a lot of visual. It's all sonar and sound base. So. So basically, you have to keep quiet, or the aliens will, the boogeyman, or the aliens will come and get you.
That's definitely a premise in a lot of video game monsters, that they can't see you.
Yeah, it's well done. It's well done. I recommend. We talked a little bit before we started about Severance.
I watched the first episode of the second season.
It's kicking along. It's where we're as we record this. There's one more episode on season 2 to come, and a lot of revelations, and it's like, okay, it's falling into place. Things are falling into place. Okay, it's basically mystery. It's all a big mystery. It's like, okay, and gradually, bit by bit, people are starting to sort of figure it out what's going on, or they're really doing a lot of speculating about what they think is going on. So I won't talk too much about that.
The only thing I'll say, since I've only seen the first episode of the second season, is that they try to reset and spend the episode inside with the innies, which is obviously just to re-anchor the series.
Yes.
But I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting them just to continue from where the last episode of the first season finished. But
it does, without spoiling it too much, it does move on. This afternoon, my partner and I, we went and watched Mickey 17 at the cinema.
Did you? Oh,
Yeah.
excellent. Oh, fantastic. Was it good?
It is great. It might not be everyone's cup of tea.
Okay.
But it is a great sci-fi concept, and it is really well executed, and also a bit of social political commentary as well. Yeah. So all about charismatic leaders who are not necessarily competent at what they do, but people just follow them blindly because of who they are, and draw your own conclusions about that. But the concept of Mickey 17 is that he signs up to go on a space exploration and settlement mission, and he signs up as a expendable, which basically they scan his body. If he dies, they'll reprint him. And literally, it's coming out, and it's like coming out of a printer. It's
really?
Yeah. Because they save his memories and so forth, so they can put them back in as well. So which is crucial. He has all these previous memories.
Okay. We'll revisit that concept in a minute. Yes.
So and it is relevant. So
now I haven't seen it yet, but what you just described does remind me of that episode of Red Dwarf, where they literally they print people out, and then the printer gets stuck halfway through. And anyway,
it's not a fresh concept, but it's well done. Excellent. It's good. Robert Pattinson,
yes,
he's so good.
I've heard that it might be one of his best roles.
Yeah, he is so good, and he's not the charismatic, sexy.
No,
okay, well, not for me. Other people might have other opinions, but he's not. He's not the cool. He's not a cool, suave,
brooding kind of
character. He's a completely different kind of character, and he's the guy's got range. So I highly recommend go and see that.
I'm going to have to actually take this cap off. It's too small for me, and it's hurting my head. I'm going to have to put another cap on, one of my inferior caps. And I also don't want to stretch it for my daughter, whose head is considerably smaller than mine. Oh my God, that feels so much better.
There you go. There you go. I'd lend you one of mine, but it'd take a while to get there.
Have I worn this one already? I don't think I have.
I don't think so.
I should have actually.
No, Robco, explain.
Robco is the company that makes a lot of the robots, and I think even the Pit Boys in the Fallout series. So it's one of the main companies.
Of course.
If you've seen the television series, Robco is mentioned in there.
Okay.
But I wear it because no one knows what Robco is. People just assume it's a real company. But if you know Fallout, you'll go, Robco. Cool.
Okay. In terms of things that I've watched so you don't have to, there's a movie out there called The Cloverfield Paradox.
Now, you talked about another Cloverfield movie recently.
I did. I did talk about another Cloverfield movie, and that was good. So the Cloverfield Paradox, so they're all very loosely tied to each other with the theme of alien invasion and so forth. I will say I did not get past about 20, 30 minutes into the movie.
Whoa.
Okay. Well, you know how I'm a stickler for accuracy in space movies and stuff like that?
Yes, I've noticed that.
Okay. So I may have mentioned these things once or twice. And there was a particular thing which I could not get past. And basically, if you get this fundamental thing wrong, how dumb is the rest of the movie going to be? Okay. So imagine a large spaceship. They had like some sort of particle accelerator on board. They were doing experiments. They're trying to save the Earth. Well, I won't go into the detail because it's irrelevant and you should never watch the movie.
Nice.
But it had this large spaceship, and because as a lot of spaceships do, they have a circular ring for generating artificial gravity. Yes. Okay. It's been done many, many times. Like the Martian was a good example.
Yes, true.
Okay. Well, they had segments that rotated around.
Yeah, okay. And 2001.
2001.
Yep.
Common concept, okay?
Replacing gravity with centrifugal force.
So they have this spaceship that has a ring that rotates.
What?
But when they are talking to one of the characters who has a bedroom on the ring.
Mm-hmm.
The floor of the bedroom is not the end of the ring that rotates where the gravity is from.
Yep.
The edge of the ring is just the window that they look out of, and it's rotating past.
Someone must have said something. Surely someone would have said, this is not how it would work. So you threw your hands up in disgust?
Yeah. I just like, so basically it immediately turned me off the entire movie.
Yeah.
And then I think, well, if you're going to get this wrong, what else?
Yes.
And look, I'm all about suspending disbelief. Don't get me wrong,
Mhm.
but like this is like fundamental. There's that finger. Look, it's getting two fingers admonition.
He's waggling his fingers at the camera. So basically, if that was the case, they would just roll out of bed and hit the window every time.
Yeah. It's like.
So can I just say, on behalf of a grateful nation, thank you for watching it, so we don't have to.
Yep. It's a do not watch. Do not watch. Did you have anything else that you wanted to talk about?
I did go to see the new Avengers movie.
I did see that as well.
Captain America movie.
Captain America movie, yes.
That was okay.
It was okay.
It was good. I
saw it. I even forgot to put it on my list, but yeah. That's how memorable it was. Yes. It's okay.
Games I've played. I bought Assassin's Creed Valhalla when the Xbox series came out, and it didn't run very well. It was a bit boggy. But now I have a PlayStation 5 Pro, which is a very powerful console. So I installed it on the PlayStation 5 Pro, and much to my pleasant surprise, because Ubisoft, who makes these games, is a very large company and has its own central sort of servers, all my all my Xbox saves transferred over to the PlayStation, which I genuinely did not expect.
What a bonus.
So not only have I just picked up where I'd left off, but because the PlayStation 5 Pro is more powerful, even though there's no PlayStation 5 Pro specific patch for it, the hardware is more powerful anyway. Yeah. And it just runs, it looks beautiful.
The hardware just steps up and says, righto.
Yep.
I got this.
Yeah, I got this. Oh, the other thing, you might appreciate this. I had a friend over and his son recently, and my son was here. So I set up Quake on the Xbox, and all four of us had controllers. Played 4-player Quake on the one screen.
Nice.
And it was fantastic. It was really good. That's all I've got.
Speaking of video gaming, I have something else.
All right. He's turning around. Oh, he's taking his headphones off. Now I can sing. Stiggin is turning around. What have you got in his hand? He's now showing off to me something I'm now about to become very jealous of. Is that PlayStation VR 2 headset?
Yes, it is. I only picked it up last week, so I haven't had much time to play it. But
wow.
Oh my freaking God, you play a game that is optimized for it. It's very immersive.
Right.
So like my game of choice, as we've discussed, is No Man's Sky. So
and that's supported by the VR,
which is supported by it.
Wow.
And so you sit in the cockpit of a starship, and it feels like you are in the cockpit of a starship. And you have your hand controls, which are back there somewhere, and you can see your virtual hands inside the screen, like matching up to where your physical hands are, which is really amazing.
All right,
move your head around, and like, okay.
That's amazing. My jealousy levels are rising.
So yeah, I'll report more about that later on. But I think it's time for a little break.
Excellent.
And then we'll be back to discuss our movie of the week, Oblivion, the 2013 Tom Cruise vehicle.
All right, let's talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, well, I'm really looking forward to talking about it, and we'll do that very shortly. So we'll see you soon. Please don't forget to press the record button. Otherwise, we'll talk endlessly for no purpose. Yeah, stick that at the end of the video.
No, I want people to come back.
And we are back, people. I hope you enjoyed your 10-second break with the little bit of dinky music, thanks to our fabulous editor, gentleman by the name of Ram Nexus. Wherever you are out there, editor Ram Nexus.
I heard he's a legend.
Because like editors, editor Ram Nexus, and there's speaking person Ram Nexus, because obviously there's a clone for different purposes. Okay. Just kind of a bit of a theme for the episode.
Speaking of clones.
Yes. Speaking of clones, there's, we talked about that with Mickey 17 earlier, and clones are a theme of this movie as well, of Oblivion, the 2013 blockbuster movie. We're assuming that if you'll watch this, if you're listening to this, you watched the movie recently. I really enjoyed watching this again. I think it's one of my go-to rewatches. If I go, okay, I can't be bothered thinking of watching something new, or I'm just going to go pull it out the shelf and whack it in the old player. So
I agree. It's I've seen it 2 or 3 times before, and I've got it on Blu-ray, not 4K, but I've got it on Blu-ray.
Same on Blu-ray.
I watched it today, so it's super duper fresh in my brain.
Fresh, and I watched it last night, so it's moderately fresh. Okay, as for a movie that's 12 years old, it definitely stands up well. It doesn't look dated at all.
There's a scene where Tom Cruise's character Jack Harper is recounting the 2017 Super Bowl. Yes. And I'm thinking, is he talking about a real Super Bowl that happened? So I went and looked it up, and then I saw that the movie was filmed in 2013. It's like, wow.
2013. So, yeah.
I was a bit surprised it's that old, because it doesn't look fantastic.
Yeah, no, it stands out really well. A lot of the technical aspects of movie making work very well. It's got some absolutely beautiful cinematography.
Yes,
of wasteland, of Earth that's been laid waste after the alien attack.
I might just make a point on that. I really liked the fact that it was post-apocalypse, but it was key islands of landmarks in an otherwise flat surface, and I assume it's because there's sediment layers and so forth. But it wasn't like Fallout or so many other post-apocalyptic movies where there's this big tangle of all these destroyed cities. It was quite a different look to an apocalyptic city in a way.
Yeah, because they talked about there being giant earthquakes and tidal waves and so forth, and that's why when you see the Empire State Building later in the movie, it's pretty much buried up to about the 86th floor, which I think is where the observation deck is.
Okay.
But that was a really very obvious landmark, which showed you what still survived, but how much had been destroyed at the same time. It was very, very well done.
It was well done. So here's a question for you. What do you think about the strategy of destroying the moon in order to just get rid of the population of the planet?
I mean, it would take a lot of energy to destroy the moon.
Yes, that crossed my mind.
That's probably the first thing that when you pose that question. You basically, the best way to do it would be to somehow redirect another object in another, like a large asteroid or something, through the middle of the moon at extremely high speed.
I was thinking wouldn't need to destroy it. You would need to impart enough energy to just remove it from its current orbit. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, the moon is still there. It's broken up. So, it's like there should still be some tidal influence.
That crossed my mind. I was only in the last third of the movie. I saw, wait a minute, all the mass, the moon is actually still there. There's got to still be some gravitational force.
And it's quite possible that over time the mass would reaccumulate and the moon would reform over some millions of years.
Yes.
Quite possibly. Yeah. If it doesn't fall below the Roche limit, which is where a gravitational bond and a body that's gravitationally bound to itself will break up once it falls below a certain level of orbit. It's called the Roche limit.
Oh, I didn't know that. Could it also turn into like a ring, like one of Saturn's rings?
That's another possibility. Yes. And I remember reading recently they reckon that the Earth has actually had a ring in the past.
Huh, really?
And it either sort of got subsumed into the moon, or
actually, I did hear a scientist say, if you like it, you got to put a ring on it. Sticking.
I did not know Beyonce was a scientist. You do this deliberately to get this frozen, stunned look out of it. You're zooming in on me now, aren't you?
And it's that amazing noise that your brain makes as you're trying to work out, no, he's wrong. That's not right. Oh, wait.
It's squeaky wheel noises.
Those rubber bands playing hard.
Like, it's just as well I've had headphones on because otherwise there'd be steam pouring out.
Sorry, you were saying.
But no, it's that's a very good point, and I think it's a testament to the storytelling so forth that we haven't really put a lot of thought. How I can be a bit sort of like nitpicky and critical about that, but that hadn't occurred to me because I think I was captured up in the actual quality.
It's a very personal story in a way, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes. It is. It's Jack's story. It literally starts out with him having a dream.
Yeah, that's true.
Or is it a dream? Is it a memory?
Or is
because he's had his memory wiped, so so he can do his job as Tech 47, and maintaining and monitoring the drones,
drone maintenance. Yes,
yeah. It's kind of ironic that a drone is maintaining a drone because he is in fact a drone himself.
Dude, good wordplay.
Isn't
Nice.
he? Right? Hey, you like that?
Yeah. Really, man. Come on, keep coming. That's good.
That's it. It's like when you think about it. Because he's a clone, and we soon find out that there's more of him. There's, because we do later in the movie bump into clone Tech 52, which of course is Jack. It was interesting when Jack goes up to the tower for Tech 52 and talks to Vicky there, the version of Vicky there, because by this point his version of Vicky has been disintegrated.
Yes.
And she does not pick on the fact at all that he has a different colored uniform because his uniform was trimmed in yellow and Tech 52 was trimmed in blue. And also he has a stylized 47 on his outfit instead of 52. And they and also to help us keep track of it, they conveniently had like a small bruise on the bridge of his nose, so we could tell. So we could tell which one was Jack 47 and which one was Jack 52.
The other guy had a scarf on. Ascot. He had an ascot.
Yes, he did. So like Jack 47, he liked collecting ephemera from old Earth. So as you would expect. So yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting. Now, I didn't actually notice this watching the movie, but I watched 10 minutes of the making of it afterwards, and they made the point that the home of Drone 52 is the same colours, except where it's blue for our Jack, it's mustard coloured yellow.
Mustard colour,
for him. So for the couch, for example, it's all trimmed the same. Otherwise, it looks identical. And yes, I didn't actually notice that on the uniform, but yeah, totally makes sense.
One of the wonderful things about the production of this movie is how visually beautiful those tower bases are.
Yeah.
And particularly the fact that they're pretty much mostly glass walls, so you can see in and out. I did see a YouTube video fairly recently which talked a bit about how they filmed those. So basically, they had large screens, video screens set out. They built the set in real life. So they didn't use CGI. They didn't use green screen, but had actual large video projector screens to project the surrounding sunrise or sunset or cloudscape or whatever, just to give it that immersive feeling. So they weren't performing in front of a green screen. They were in front of giant video screens.
Yes, I saw that in the making of. And one of the big advantages of that system is that any of the chrome is on the bubble ship, it just reflects actual background.
The actual background light, yes. Very well done. Like really, really well done.
It does remind me of The Mandalorian and a few of the subsequent Star Trek seasons. And I should have looked up what it's called, but they have a special set that they've used in the round.
The Mandalorian set, the Disney set, is called The Volume.
The Volume, yeah. I'm sure that's much more advanced, but it's the same basic concept, especially for the Mandalorian wearing that chrome uniform all the time.
Yeah.
So the movie's directed by Joseph Kosinski, and I just looked up some other of the major feature films he's done. So he
filming.
did do Tron Legacy. So
Okay.
we'll forgive. Oh, I didn't like that, but we'll forgive him for that. He did some other movie you may have heard of in 2022.
Oh yeah.
Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah. Oh, with Tom Cruise again.
Yeah. He's also done Only the Brave, Spiderhead, which I don't know anything about, and a movie which is just about to come out, F1.
Ah, yes. I watched the trailer for that the other day, and that looks quite spectacular. So yes,
quite an expensive undertaking apparently.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
I'm expecting good things. But yeah,
But
he directed and produced F1.
Yeah. So they actually did filming for it on the days of actual F1 Grand Prix races.
Is that
So
right?
yeah. So it's in front of the actual crowds with. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you had sequences where they'd send out the film cars and on race day. So yeah,
Shit, man.
just to get the authenticity of it, which
I just thought just thought I'd mention that he's got a pretty good lineup of movies.
He definitely knows how to make a good looking movie.
Yeah.
There's no question about that. And and that's why Oblivion stands up so well, or one of the reasons why it stands up so well. But as you said earlier, it's not just about how well the movie looks, it's the storytelling. It's the fact that we are dealing with, well, what's Jack's story? Where does he come from? And why is he's he has this relationship with Vicky. Then he explains that, oh yeah, we're tech, we're on a 5-year mission. We've had our mandatory memory wipes for some reason, and we're here together, and we are an effective team. And you think, and like, well, they have a romantic, intimate type relationship together, And
So,
you think, well, and so why is he dreaming of this other woman? What's this all about?
Right.
And
yes.
and it turns out, no, it's not a dream. She's the real thing. So,
And she drops the mic on him when he says, "Who are you?" And she says, "I'm your wife."
Yeah.
And well, she's the original, and that's why she's laughing at the table when she sees that Victoria's made the moves on her man.
Yeah. And even when they first rescue her and they get her out of the cryo container, and she's in there on their medical table being looked at, and she's kind of looking back and forth between the two.
Yeah, that's true.
People that she knows who obviously don't know her.
I didn't write down. There was one line saying, "You're the only survivor from your spacecraft."
Yeah,
and she's looking up at those two, and thinking,
said,
"Well, actually, you were on the space." She's obviously thinking you were on the spacecraft too when you survived, but so she was confused as to why they didn't include themselves as survivors.
So
that was interesting. Yes.
She was very smart. She actually she should have she was smart enough. The character was smart enough to realize, okay, this all is not as appear here. So I'm just going to keep this to myself. When they asked what her mission was, really, you don't know. That's classified.
Yes, that was quite good. Yeah, she was. She didn't give away too much too early. I've just got some notes. So I think, correct me if I'm wrong, the aliens who invaded Earth successfully were there seemingly mainly for the water or the hydrogen in the water?
I think they were getting the water from the Earth. Yes. I think that was their goal. So those water purifiers, they're actually sucking the water up, and probably to make rocket fuel, hydrogen and oxygen, so they can move on to and we never actually see the alien form. I think possibly it's all artificial intelligence,
Yes.
So we never actually see them. We just hear the voice.
It's interesting. At the point 2/3 of the way through the film where they're starting to have to lie to control, basically, and is when the control's voice starts hitching a little bit and sounding a little bit synthetic, a bit artificial.
Sally. Yes.
Right.
Yes. Who was based on their mission controller.
That's right.
So like they
very well done.
So we never actually see it. So I think the assumption is that it's a machine ship. It's a one singular ship. There's just the Tet. There's not multiple of them. So
yes, that's true. Yes.
So he's okay. I'm getting into slight nitpicky territory, and please, I love the movie, but they could only communicate with the Tet when it was above their horizon. Okay, why didn't they build a fleet of communication satellites so they could communicate with everyone they wanted to 24 hours a day?
Yeah,
there is. Why couldn't they just go up to, high orbit?
Actually, there's a very good explanation for this. I've read about this. Plot. That's the one reason.
Someone wielded a plot device that prevented that from happening.
Exactly right. In a micro version of the same issue is when Jack descends into Library of Congress or wherever it is. He goes into the library to collect the drone.
Was it the New York Public Library?
Yeah, New York Public Library. That's right.
I could be wrong.
Well, it's likely to be.
Yeah.
Except that you didn't see any lines. You think they'd show those off. But anyway, he descends into that and he loses communication with Vicky. It's like, that is something we today can fix. You just put a relay at the top where you are. Yeah. You get like two radios and you turn them around and just have them on. It's like, well, I'm just going to give you a sidebar. This is a funny thing that actually happened to me. I went on holidays and I brought a book with me, and it was prequel to the game Mass Effect. I started reading it. I thought, gee, this is really, really getting into it. And then they did something almost exactly like that. They descended into this elevator and they lost comms. It's like, we can do it now. We can. That situation doesn't happen now. It's just a plot device. And I thought, oh, it's really annoying. So I put the book down and found in a store, because I was on holidays, another book, which was a Star Wars. It's about Darth Bane. And they had another similar scenario, not of that, but it was like a combat tactical thing. I thought they wouldn't fight like that. And then I picked both these books up by the same guy. I didn't notice it. I thought there was something similar just about the way that they were written by someone who's obviously doesn't know much about army tactics.
Making assumptions.
Yeah. Okay. And look, he's a really good author. Drew Gasparian, his name is, and really, really good.
Yeah.
There you go. That's completely unrelated, but indirectly related. Yeah.
It's forgivable. It is forgivable for the sake of the movie, okay? Because the rest of the movie is so strong. I got some notes. The use of sound is like the sound of the drones.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about.
It was kind of very chilling.
Yeah,
and I'm thinking, I'm sure that's not really the sound that these mechanical drones would make. It's probably designed to threaten and intimidate.
Yeah, it's almost humans. An alarm and demotivator kind of thing.
Particularly once you realize in the movie that the purpose of the drones is to hunt humans.
And boy, are they good at that.
Yeah.
When they clear out the hideaway. Yep. Oh, my God. And because they're spherical, they have no central attitude, so they can just go in any direction, obviously, whatever propulsion system they use.
They got a lot of attitude. But yes, no, you're right. You're right.
Anyway, yes, but the noise they make is quite amazing.
Yeah. And there's also the sounds for the his flyer, his vehicle, when the engines power up and everything, and even Tom Cruise's motorcycle, which is
it sounded electric, didn't it?
It sounded electric, but it also at one point says, "You're just about almost out of fuel."
Yes.
So I'm thinking, I wonder what fuel you were using.
I suppose one of the things I was thinking about was the fact that these systems seem to take a very, very long time to recognize you as an ally.
Yeah.
And it seemed to imply you needed a voice confirmation that you're an ally.
Yes. So it wasn't just like putting up a paper mask with Jack's face on it. You needed his voice print as well. In costuming as well. So Jack's outfit was like, it just looked a lot like a motorcycle, like motorcycle leathers, because obviously he rides a motorbike,
Yeah, true.
And
obviously it's got ballistic protection on the front because he gets shot by a
Yeah.
Small
He
arms.
gets shot by a small arm right in the
Yeah.
on the chest, falls down and gets up. I did like where he goes to his little secret hiding place, which is out of sight and out of contact with Vicky back in the tower, and he goes to his little cabin, and he basically turns back into an archetypal Midwestern American, wearing a check shirt and a baseball cap, and shooting hoops, and has a baseball, and
Yes.
it had an interesting record collection as well. So
Yes. I must say, when I first saw it, it reminded me of something a bit darker. And I think I learned this from the X-Files or something, where kids who are abused by negligence, so their parents just don't pay them, literally lock them in their bedrooms, as they're growing up and so forth. They have this habit of collecting things, of stealing things and hoarding them away. And so that's things that they have that they control, but they hide them from everywhere else. And it's not that they're particularly important, but they're just trying to grasp to regain some control of their life. That's what I thought Jack was doing initially. Like, he's getting all these little things and putting. So maybe there was something to that, but obviously,
it's all about him. Just otherwise, his life is completely controlled by the Tet and being told what to do by Vicky. And it's just like, oh, just got to drop off the radar and just have a bit of me time and just and just find a bit of self identity and not one that's enforced upon him. So and the fact that also, I think possibly also motivating factor behind that are these dreams that he has of this woman Julia, and of course, surprise, surprise, later in the movie, because of reasons, the ship that they're on crashes down out of orbit, and he manages to recover her, and all the other bodies were killed by drones, but he managed to save Julia, and he literally finds the woman of his dreams. Yeah, I'm surprised if there was a spacecraft in orbit that have human beings on board that the Tet didn't send drones to destroy it already.
Yeah,
considering that the Tet had already encountered that particular probe, so why did they just let it fly around in orbit?
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that, but that's a good point.
That point just occurred to me now. I think this movie's getting worse somewhere. No, it's not. It's a great movie. Hey, I've got a serious question though.
Yes.
Because this movie is set about 50 years after the fall, 50, 60 years. 60, I think the fall happens in 2017. The movie is set in 2077. I think they say at the beginning of the movie it's the 14th of March, 2077.
Right.
So, so the question is, how many cigars does Morgan Freeman have?
What is he smoking a cigar?
Because no one's making cigars anymore, obviously. So he's found a stash somewhere. He's found, or is he just like had this one special cigar that he was keeping for a special occasion?
And how long do they keep? Like, could you smoke a 60-year-old cigar?
I think if you keep it sealed in an airtight packaging, that probably would last a while. Yes, I suspect so. And it was one way to reinforce the point that he really was human, because aliens are going to come to Earth to steal our cigars. Yeah.
I think that's a great plot for a movie, though. Just saying. I did like the fact that you didn't actually realize that they were human.
Yeah.
Like, they were portrayed as being more animal-like.
Yeah, I remember when I first watched the movie, it was like, oh, wow, they're human.
Yeah.
Interesting watching it now, knowing that they are human, and you kind of go, they're well disguised. And they explain all the helmets and stuff they have. It's like, oh, it's all old military tech.
Yeah, it was too. Yeah, it was. I got the impression that Jack, I wasn't sure whether Jack and Victoria did actually have a physical relationship. Like, she obviously wanted it.
I think the thing is, she had a thing for Jack.
Yeah.
But she's a professional about it, because she was the one that said, oh, let's take a selfie together.
Yes, that's
and
true.
It's like, which made, and in which looks very romantic, but
Yes.
it was in the context. It's like it wasn't really when you actually see the mission log.
Yeah, it's very clever. It's interesting that when he went to Pod 52 and saw the other Victoria, she said leaving without a kiss, which suggests that the other Jack did actually have a permanent long-term physical relationship with his version of Victoria.
The canyon scene. So I was thinking, like, what other movies that have canyon dogfight scenes? You know, so obviously, apart from Oblivion, so I'm thinking of there's the episode of The Mandalorian. I think there's a dogfight scene in a frozen canyon.
Yeah,
and then of course Independence Day.
Right.
Yeah, which has a rather epic F-16 versus at the alien ship, and you get the old Will Smith with the "Welcome to Earth" punch to the alien. It's a bit of a movie trope to have aerial dogfight in a canyon, and oh no, it's going to get narrow, and there's the ship that shouldn't fit through fits through the gap, but the other ship that could possibly fit through didn't. And
no one just thought they could like ascend.
Yeah. You could go up and over. Yeah, it is a bit of a trope. It's as Spock would say, it signifies two-dimensional thinking.
Yes.
Look, we haven't had a Star Trek reference all night. There is another Star Trek reference that I do want to make, and this is not fingers of admonition. This is fingers of excitement.
Yes.
We have a Praxis ring at the end of the movie.
Yes, I've made a note of that too. Good usage, very nice. Yes.
It was a very nice
once you know about them, you can never unsee them.
No, that's right. It's a bit like helmets having lights in them. Wasn't an issue in this movie, so they avoided that altogether.
I did actually think a few times, God, he should be wearing a bump helmet. Like when he was descending, he should have had a crash helmet on him, or something. But
it should have something interesting. So Vicky, at her workstation, has a headpiece, and with an external little boom microphone. Jack just has like an earpiece with a no external microphone. Interesting. And I thought you would expect him in the real world. You would expect someone flying a ship like that to have some sort of helmet with communications and heads-up display built into the helmet and all that sort of thing. And also when he jumps on the bike, it's helmet and everything.
He's got goggles on, but that's it. Yeah.
But the reason why they didn't do that though, don't you?
Because it's Tom Cruise. You want to see him?
Because it's Tom Cruise, and you need to be able to see it's Tom Cruise all the time.
There are quite a few. Well, there's a few scenes inside the cockpit of his plane when it's descending and he loses power and so forth. They actually rigged up one and moved it around, so you can actually see the hair, and they are actually moving around and struggling against gravity.
Yeah.
Apparently that was a bit nauseating, inducing. Apparently, which probably makes sense.
But added to the authenticity. So it's a favorite. It's definitely a favorite movie, I think. And I know I'll be watching it again. It's like it went one of those wet, rainy day movies. So what can I watch that I know I'm going to enjoy and isn't going to annoy me too much? Oblivion.
Yeah, I agree. It just looks fantastic. Now, there's one thing about it that I was going to complain, but I'm not sure it really is. And it's used in a lot of movies.
Okay.
And that is the idea of genetic memory, where these clones somehow have the memories of the person from which they're cloned, which is no amount of science fiction mumbo jumbo will ever convince me that that's anything other than a plot device, because it's just completely impossible. It's not how genetics works. However, when they go into the ship, you never see any infants or embryos or infants or young versions. You only see adult, fully grown versions of them. So it might not be cloning. It might be some other form of duplication, which does allow them to replicate the synaptic connections in the brain.
Well, it's a bit like Mickey 17. They do address it. They will actually directly say, we have the technology to replicate a human body, but we also have the replicate to extract memories and reinsert them back into an imprinted body, because they obviously need the skills that these people have, and they obviously can speak English and communicate with each other. And they've got physical, verbally trained, and they know how to fly a plane and drive a motorbike, because Jack's Tom Cruise and that's what he can do. But it's also a skill that the character had as an astronaut. and they needed the fact that he and Vicky were an effective team, that they worked well together. So they needed that aspect of it, but they just wanted to purge as much as possible of anything that wasn't relevant to that. But obviously, it wasn't perfect because he still had his memories of Julia.
Yeah, so I was going to complain that they were using this genetic memory concept, which has been used a lot in science fiction, but I don't think it was genetic. Well, I hope it wasn't. They don't explicitly say what it is, but you never see them growing them from infants. They're making fully grown.
Yep. I think they just kind of printed them out and just stored them until they're required. Yeah, I mean, they did mention at one point that there was an army of Jacks coming out to subdue the human population of Earth. So
they said over. At one point, they said over 1,000.
Yeah, 1,000. Yeah.
And there seemed to be a paucity of drones and drone parts almost.
Yeah, so resources is definitely an issue. Yeah.
Because otherwise they would have just flooded the area where they thought all the humans were. They just would have flooded with drones and they would have found them all eventually.
Yeah, so they've got this enormous spaceship, but they can't maintain several hundred drones to fly around the planet.
Oh, that's the other thing I was saying earlier. We're talking about combat in the canyons, and Jack gets behind them. But these are spherical ships. I find it almost impossible to believe they don't have sensors looking backwards.
I'm sure they would have, but they
didn't behave that way. They were quite happy to be followed and shot at from behind.
Yeah, look, Tom Cruise, it was in the original Top Gun. He knows how these things work, and he told them and that's how Tom Cruise defeats an enemy in the air.
I do have one confession. There's one thing that I only worked out watching it this time. The significance of a monkey, the monkey toy of the Empire State Building.
Oh, King Kong. Yeah, it's obvious.
Well, not to everybody.
It's obvious to me.
Yeah, it was like, what's that got to do with anything?
Yeah, King Kong.
But it didn't look like King Kong. It looked like a gorilla. It didn't look like King Kong.
Well, King Kong was just a big gorilla.
Was he? Was he, though? And he also had clothes on, just saying. The toy did.
Do you really want a giant 90-foot tall naked gorilla with all of that entails climbing up
That's not a
the Empire State Building?
I know. I should have looked up her name. There's a female actor in it, and she doesn't say anything, but she acts opposite Jamie Lannister, Costa Wildo. I think the actor's name's Zoe, and she's a New Zealand stunt.
Okay.
Yeah, and she played Uma Thurman's stunt double in the Kill Bill movies.
Okay.
And she eventually she's obviously got good talents, not just in being a stunt person. And she has got speaking roles in a couple of Tarantino movies and a few others. And she was in this movie. As soon as I saw her, I thought, oh, I know her. I only mention it because this is another Fallout reference. There's a game called Fallout New Vegas, and it's set in the Las Vegas area. Yeah. So everyone's got an American accent, except there's this one character who's got this very strong Australasian accent. And it's her that voiced it. And it's because whoever told her to do it didn't say you have to speak with an American accent. So there's this, for some inexplicable reason, post-nuclear war, there's this Australasian.
I have a very similar point, and I forgot totally to mention earlier that one of the movies that I also watched recently, it was actually in the last week, was the Mad Max movie Furiosa. Okay.
I haven't seen it. I've got it, but I haven't seen it.
It's good. It is definitely worth. It's a bit long, but it is worth watching. And Chris Hemsworth is great as an Aussie bogan antagonist.
Excellent.
He's really good. So, and everyone else, it's clearly identified as being set in Australia, and everyone else has an Australian accent and famous Australian accents. And you start out with the character Furiosa when she's younger.
Yeah.
And by the time you get to when it's Anya Taylor-Joy, she has an American accent for some reason.
Oh.
So that it's just kind of
sticks
in the But it's probably a movie we will talk about in greater detail at some point.
So my family bought it for me on disc
for
Christmas, and I haven't watched it yet.
No,
so,
watch it. It's a good watch. It's a good watch, and it does lead directly into the
into Fury Road.
Into Fury Road,
which some would say is a Furiosa movie anyway.
And it really is, and it really is, and to be honest, there's nothing wrong with that.
No, I know it is actually.
Yeah, no.
She was the more interesting character in a way.
So. Yeah, and basically this is just fleshing out her backstory and so forth, and how she got to be who she was by the time you get to Fury Road. So, that's another.
Well, you just reminded me there was actually a PlayStation 4 game called Mad Max, which came out about the time of Fury Road, and it wasn't that popular. But the first ad, the protagonist Mad Max had an American accent, and like there was people were up in arms about it, and so they got a different voice actor and gave him an Aussie accent.
Fantastic. Yeah, you have to. You have to. Yeah. No. It's an Australian movie. It's set in Australia. Even though Fury Road was not filmed in Australia,
it was Africa, wasn't it?
It was filmed in Namibia, but the only reason they did that is because there were floods and the desert, which was not dry. It was all green and had pretty flowers everywhere. So they had to move it to Namibia, and filmed it there. Well. Do you have any more to discuss about Oblivion? I think I've pretty much covered everything that I wanted to say about it. I think we both loved the movie. It's definitely. Look, I wouldn't say it's my top 5 movies, but
it doesn't have a lot really wrong or dumb about it.
No,
and it has a really good look. It was filmed in Iceland, a lot of it apparently.
Yeah, looks like it. Looks good, sounds good. You care about the characters,
and they don't overly explain. Yeah, the aliens in a way, like I don't feel the need to really explain what that was all about, which is almost better for it in a way.
Yeah. I don't think it becomes kind of self-evident in the end, and it's like, well, they just have to destroy the Tet, and then human civilization, because can come out undercover. And the other point, the one final point that I will make is when you destroy the Tet, and literally the drones just drop out of the air. So again, it's another movie trope of like centrally controlled robot creatures, which is we saw in Star Wars,
Phantom Menace.
Yes. So that's a bit of a trope.
Yes,
so, but it's fine. It's valid. I think so.
It's a bit like all these people with. Actually, when it happened, it reminded me of people who subscribe to certain games or services, and if the service is down, you can't play it. Like, it's completely, it's too central, not too centralized. It's very. I
think if you were making the film now with our knowledge and awareness of AI and artificial intelligence, I think the drones would have a much greater degree of artificial intelligence.
Well, they'd probably be connected to each other and
autonomy. Yeah, there'd be like a swarm network. Yeah, and they would just like keep on taking over the world, and they would.
And they'd learn from each other.
They would learn from each other, and one of them would be, there you go. That's Oblivion 2.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't need a sequel. It's a complete story of itself, which is great. It does not need a sequel. Please don't make a sequel. Just talking about Star Wars, I believe they're going to be re-releasing Revenge of the Sith at the cinema for the 25th anniversary or something coming out.
That might look good. That would look good.
I think it's end of April, so it would definitely be worth checking out again on the big screen. So
end of April, and something else comes out at the end of April, Star Wars related,
and or season 2.
Yeah.
So looking forward to that.
God. The trailer for that was just
looking forward to that. Yeah. No, very,
I
good.
think I watched all these espionage movies recently because I'd finished watching Andor, and it's the same.
It has the same vibe. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's the same. That's what it is.
That's
right. It's an espionage spy thriller. That's what it is, and in the Star Wars universe. And
can't wait.
So looking forward to that. Well, mate. Thanks for everything.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us once again. We've had a great time.
Just a reminder that we put this out as an audio podcast, and also put up the video version of the same material on YouTube. So it's us talking, and I usually add a few more trailers and clips from things that we've talked about, just to give it a bit of life.
And if your kink is watching a couple of elder nerds talking about nerd stuff, this is going to be for you.
Yeah, that's a stick, and that's not talking it up. I just got to say, you're not.
I would have thought so. I would have thought, come on,
So if you want to listen
look
to
at his face.
If you want, please don't look at that face. If you want to listen to two knowledgeable and very experienced science fiction aficionados to the fat about science fiction, this is where to come.
And if you have commentary, please, we would love some comments and suggestions. I've got a long list of movies. I haven't thought about what we will cover next. It'll probably be after you return from your trip overseas, so it might be a while before we get another episode out the door, but that's okay.
Be probably 6 weeks. I have a couple of ideas that I'll run them past you.
We'll do. Fabulous. Well, folks, thanks again, and we'll see you next time.
Okay.
Sticking out.
Round next is out.